Welcome to Starbound Valor HFY. Subscribe now and dive into daily epic sci-fi adventures where humanity always rises. Humanity sat in the center of the Grand Galactic Hall, surrounded by hundreds of alien species who watched with cold eyes. The hall itself was a massive sphere of silver metal and glowing blue lights, built by the Galactic Council thousands of years ago. Today it was louder than ever before. Every seat was full, every voice whispered, and every creature stared at the human delegation standing calmly on the central platform. The council leader, a tall insect-like creature with crystal wings, slammed his staff on the floor and the sound echoed through the hall. He announced that the vote against Earth would now begin. Most aliens already knew the result. For years, the galaxy had feared humans, feared how fast they learned, how quickly they adapted, how they refused to surrender, and how they kept surviving even the worst disasters. Humans were strange to them, unpredictable, bold, sometimes reckless. Some aliens believed humans were a danger. Others believed humans were the future of the galaxy. But today only one belief controlled the room: fear. The council leader raised his voice and spoke clearly so that all could hear. He listed accusations. Humans evolve too fast. Humans win too many wars. Humans break limits too easily. Humans discover secrets that no young species should know. Humans never stay where they are told to stay. The hall murmured with agreement. Screens around the walls showed images from human history, battles, scientific breakthroughs, impossible achievements. Many aliens watched with anger. Many watched with jealousy. But some watched with unease, because they knew humans did not reach these achievements easily. They reached them because they refused to die. The council leader called for the decision. One by one, the alien representatives pressed their vote panels. Red lights lit up across the hall. Red meant exile. Red meant rejection. Red meant humans do not belong. A few blue lights appeared, blue meaning keep Earth in the galaxy, but they were too few to matter. The final count flashed across the largest screen. Exile Earth, 721 votes. Allow Earth to stay, 18 votes. Silence fell. The council hall, which was full of anger seconds ago, suddenly grew quiet. Every alien waited for the human reaction. They expected shouting. They expected fear. They expected humans to argue or beg or protest. But nothing happened. The human ambassador, a middle-aged man with calm eyes, simply stood still. He did not look surprised. He did not look scared. Instead, he smiled. Not a big smile, not a mocking one, but a small, strange smile that made many aliens uncomfortable. It was the sort of smile that said, "I know something you do not." The alien leaders shifted in their seats. They did not like that smile. They did not understand it. Finally, the council leader spoke sharply and said that Earth was now officially exiled from all galactic systems. No human ship would be allowed to enter council space. No human trade, no human alliances, no human presence. He expected anger. He expected humans to fight back. But the ambassador simply bowed his head slightly, as if this decision was not a punishment but a gift. He raised his hand for permission to speak, and the council allowed it. His voice was calm, slow, and clear. He said that humanity accepted the vote. Not with sadness, not with fear, but with understanding. He said the galaxy had always feared humans, even before meeting them. He said he hoped the galaxy found peace in their decision. Then he ended with a sentence that shook the hall more than any war ever had. "Are you sure you want that?" The words were simple but heavy. They rolled across the hall like thunder. Many aliens felt uneasy. Many felt a cold feeling inside them. The council leader asked what the ambassador meant. But the human did not answer. He only smiled again, that same small, calm, unsettling smile, and turned away. The human delegation walked toward the exit platform. Their footsteps echoed softly, almost too softly for such a large hall. Aliens watched them leave with worry building in their hearts. Humans were supposed to be angry, scared, confused. But they looked relieved. They looked almost excited. Something was wrong. Something felt strange. The moment the humans left the central platform, the doors closed behind them with a deep metallic sound. The council hall buzzed with nervous whispers. Some aliens wondered if they made a mistake. Some wondered if humans were hiding something. Some wondered why humans were smiling after exile. A young alien scientist leaned toward his leader and said that humans had been working on secret projects for years, projects that no one could spy on. Another alien said that stars near Earth had behaved strangely lately, as if touched by unknown energy. Another whispered that humans were preparing for something big, something the galaxy had never seen. But the council ignored the whispers. They convinced themselves that exile would weaken Earth, not strengthen it. They believed humans would fade away outside the galaxy and become unimportant. They believed the decision was wise. But far away, in the corridor outside the hall, the human ambassador contacted Earth with a single coded message. 3 words only. Phase 1 begins. And humanity, still calm, still smiling, walked deeper into the shadows of the galaxy, leaving every alien with a single disturbing thought. Why did Earth seem happy when being exiled? Humanity did not argue, did not complain, and did not ask for another meeting. When the Council announced Earth's exile, the human delegation simply left the Grand Galactic Hall and returned to their ships with silent steps and calm faces. The galaxy expected fear or panic, but nothing like that happened. Instead, human battleships, transports, cargo fleets, and research vessels began moving with strange order and confidence, as if this exile had been part of their plan for a long time. At first, many alien observers thought humans were pretending, but soon it became clear that humanity was preparing for something much larger than anyone understood. Within hours of the vote, Earth sent out a galaxy-wide broadcast. A simple message appeared on every screen: humanity accepts the exile. We will leave quietly. Do not follow us. The message did not sound angry. It did not sound sad. It sounded like a warning spoken by someone who already knew the future. Across the Milky Way, alien species reacted with confusion. Some celebrated, believing the galaxy would finally be safe. Others felt uneasy, sensing that something was wrong. The Council expected humans to slowly pack up, but that did not happen. Instead, human fleets moved with incredible speed, as if they already had instructions ready before the vote. Massive human stations near the borders suddenly powered down and vanished from scanners. Whole research labs disappeared. Mining colonies shut their lights off and went silent. Alien spies tried to approach, but every time they came close, their ships lost signal and turned back automatically, as if pushed by invisible hands. Inside the Sol system, Earth's skies turned bright with the glow of engine fire. Thousands of ships prepared for departure. From orbit, it looked like a river of light rising from the planet, each vessel heading toward deep space. People on Earth were not in chaos. They were busy, organized, and strangely calm. Children watched ships leave with excitement. Scientists loaded data into secured vaults. Soldiers guarded strange boxes marked with symbols no alien had ever seen before. Even the moon's far side, usually quiet, was now covered with giant machines that rumbled and hummed like they were waking up from a long sleep. Rumors spread fast in the galaxy. Some said humans had discovered a new form of energy. Some said humans had found an ancient machine under their oceans. Others whispered that humans had already mapped a path out of the Milky Way long before anyone voted for exile. Alien intelligence networks were desperate to find answers, so they sent hidden probes toward Earth. But none of them returned. One by one the probes entered human space, and then their signals simply vanished without a trace, as if swallowed by darkness. Nervous whispers grew louder when a strange event shook the galaxy. A star near Earth suddenly dimmed, flickered, and then turned completely dark for an hour before returning to normal. Alien scientists could not explain it. Some claimed a natural collapse. Others said humans were testing something powerful. The Council demanded an explanation from Earth, but no reply came. Humanity was busy leaving. Huge human cruisers formed into long lines, guided by silent escort drones. Cargo ships carried strange containers filled with unknown materials. Smaller vessels carried families, engineers, scientists, and builders. Every ship followed the same route, toward the outer rim, toward the edge of the Milky Way, toward the dark empty space where no major species lived. Many aliens expected humans to settle on some lonely star system and become isolated, but scans showed something else. Humans were not stopping at the edge. They were going beyond. Deep beyond. Far outside the borders of any known empire. Alien governments were frightened now. Why were humans moving with such confidence? Why were they carrying so much technology? Why did they need to leave the galaxy entirely? Some believed humanity was running away. But others, the wiser ones, believed humanity was preparing for expansion on a scale the galaxy could not imagine. To calm the public, the Council sent a small stealth scouting fleet to track the humans secretly. It was a quiet mission, made of fast ships with advanced cloaking. They were ordered to follow the human migration and report everything. The scouting fleet launched with pride, believing their technology was superior. But as soon as they crossed into human-controlled space, their engines flickered. Their shields turned off. Their controls froze. And one by one, the ships stopped moving. For a moment they floated in silence. Then every system died at the same time. The only thing that remained active was their communication screen. A sentence appeared on all of them: "Do not follow us." Nothing more. Then the screens went black. When the scouting fleet limped back to Council territory weeks later, their crews were shaken. They said no human ship attacked them. No weapon fired. It was as if space itself pushed them away. As the news spread, panic grew again. More and more aliens began to suspect that humanity had unlocked something the galaxy did not understand. Back near Earth, the last human ships finally began to leave. The human ambassador, the same calm man who smiled in the council hall, stood aboard the command vessel and watched the Milky Way shrink on the monitors. He did not look sad. He looked proud. "We leave with strength," he said softly. "And they will understand too late." With a final flash of engines, the great human migration crossed the border of the galaxy and disappeared into the dark unknown. And the Milky Way, for the first time in history, felt smaller, weaker, and suddenly very afraid of the species it had just pushed away. The Milky Way grew quieter after humanity left, but not peaceful. The silence felt heavy, like the calm before a storm. Every major species tried to act normal, but fear moved like a shadow through every council, every meeting, every military room. They told their citizens that humans were gone forever, that the exile had solved all problems, that the galaxy was safe now. But deep inside, leaders knew the truth. They had no idea what humanity was planning. Weeks passed, then months, and strange things began to happen across the galaxy. It started with weak energy waves that rolled through star systems like soft ripples. They did not damage anything, but they made every scientist nervous. Machines blinked for 1 second and then returned to normal. Space sensors lost orientation and then recovered. Some species ignored these signs, thinking it was natural interference. But the waves kept coming, stronger each time, always from the direction where humans had gone. The Galaxy Council called emergency meetings, but all they did was argue. Some said humans were testing weapons. Some said humans were exploring new dark energy sources. Some said humans had awakened an ancient force beyond the galaxy. But no one knew for sure. What scared them most was that humans gave no explanation, no signal, no message. They were completely silent. And silence from humans was more frightening than any threat. Alien media across the galaxy demanded answers, so the Council sent another group of scouts, this time elite scientists with advanced censorships designed to detect anything. They were ordered to scan the region humans had passed through but not go close. The scouts launched carefully and kept their distance, sending back data every hour. At first everything seemed normal. Empty space. Quiet stars. Cold darkness. But as they moved deeper, they began finding traces. Massive energy signatures floating in the void and disappearing suddenly. It was impossible to understand. It looked like something had moved through space with power far beyond known technology. "It feels like a giant creature passed through the galaxy," one scientist whispered. "But it's not a creature. It's human technology." Their voices shook as they continued. Soon the scanners detected massive objects ahead, not planets, not asteroids, not stations. Something else. Something unnatural. But before they could take a closer reading, their screens turned white for a second. When the image returned, all the strange objects were gone. Vanished. As if they had never existed. The scouts immediately turned around and returned home. They refused to go farther. When their report reached the Council, fear spread faster than light. Meanwhile, on the outer galaxy's borders, more unusual events began. 3 alien cargo ships disappeared without distress signals. A mining station shut down its lights after detecting something massive in deep space. A patrol ship from the Arivan Empire reported seeing a faint blue glow far away, like a giant energy field stretching across space. When they tried to scan it, their systems froze for an entire hour. Then all data was wiped. When the captain tried to send a message, the screen displayed a single human symbol, a symbol the aliens could not translate. That was enough for the galaxy to panic. The Council demanded information from the human ambassador, but he was gone. Earth no longer replied to any communication. Alien governments sent their best scientists to study the strange energy waves, but the results were terrifying. According to the new readings, the waves did not come from any human planet or human ship. They came from the empty darkness beyond the galaxy, where humanity had gone. Whatever humans were doing out there, it was massive. Too advanced, too powerful. The Council held another emergency meeting. They considered sending a war fleet to investigate, but many members refused. The last time they followed humans, their ships were shut down like children's toys. No one wanted to risk war with a species that seemed to control energy, space, and gravity like simple tools. While the Council argued, something even stranger happened. A giant ancient observatory satellite belonging to the Syrian Alliance detected a signal. It was not a message. It was more like a tremor, a pulse coming from the edge of the universe. It was so strong that it shook the satellite's frame. When scientists decoded it, their faces turned pale. According to the data, something enormous had moved outside the Milky Way. Something big enough to bend space itself. The scientists believed it was a human-made structure, so large it could not even fit inside the galaxy. Rumors spread like wildfire. Civilians whispered that humans were building a new home in another galaxy, one that made the Milky Way look small. Space traders claimed they saw strange lights flickering in the void, lights that moved with purpose. Some even said humans were experimenting with artificial stars. The Council tried to calm everyone, but no one believed them. Fear grew when another event struck the galaxy. Not a wave, not a signal, but a disappearance. An entire alien scout station on the far rim vanished without a trace. The only thing left was a single transmission. A soft voice, human, saying 2 words, "Go back." No threat. No anger. Just a calm command. A command spoken by someone who did not need to raise their voice. A command spoken by someone in control. The Council finally admitted the truth to themselves, though they refused to say it aloud. Humanity was no longer a galactic species. Humanity was becoming something else. Something larger, something older, something the Milky Way was not meant to follow. Species across the galaxy looked at the stars with growing fear. If humans were truly changing out there, what would they become? And more importantly, what would happen if they decided to return? For years the galaxy believed humans were simply fast learners, lucky survivors, or stubborn explorers, but the truth was far deeper and far older than anyone imagined. Long before the Exile, long before the Council's vote, humanity had discovered something hidden beneath Earth, something ancient, powerful, and not of this universe. It began when deep-sea mining drones detected a strange signal under the Pacific Ocean, a signal repeating in perfect mathematical rhythm. At first scientists thought it was a natural pattern, but when they reached the ocean floor, they found a massive metal surface buried under rock and coral. It was not made by humans. It was too smooth, too strong, and too advanced. The metal responded to human touch, glowing softly as if waking from sleep. When engineers drilled deeper, they uncovered a giant circular door leading into a cavern full of machines that no human language could describe. The machines looked alive, shaped like flowing light instead of metal. At the center was an enormous core, still beating with energy even after millions of years. Human scientists had never seen anything like it. They spent months studying it, and slowly they unlocked its secrets. The core was not a weapon. It was not a reactor. It was a map. A map that showed the structure of the universe, the hidden paths through dark space, and the forgotten knowledge of an ancient civilization that existed before the Milky Way was even born. The machines were not dead, they were waiting for someone able to activate them. And humans, with their strange mix of creativity and chaos, their fast evolution, their unpredictable thinking, were the first species capable of doing it. Once the machines woke up, they began teaching. Not in words, but in waves, visions, patterns. Scientists saw equations appear in their minds. Engineers understood impossible designs. A few even dreamed of giant structures floating in the void. Humanity realized that this technology was not meant for a simple planetary race. It was meant for a species ready to expand beyond galaxies. Quietly, Earth's leaders formed a secret group known only as the Beyond Council. Their mission was to learn everything, build everything, and prepare humanity for something more than life in the Milky Way. While aliens believed humans were just noisy newcomers, Earth was already studying ancient energy known as void resonance, learning to fold space like paper, and building prototypes of machines that could move stars. They hid their progress carefully. They acted weak in front of the galaxy. They acted normal. They acted harmless. But in underground labs and hidden stations, they worked night and day. They tested dark energy engines. They created drones that could survive in the empty space between galaxies. They built a device called the Star Bridge, capable of pulling energy from the void. Everything was going well until one day the ocean machine sent out a final message, a warning. The map inside the core showed something beyond the Milky Way, something moving, something old and powerful. Humanity realized the galaxy was not the center of the universe. It was a small, fragile place in a much bigger, much darker space. That is when humanity decided to leave. Not because of fear, but because they needed room to grow, room to build, and room to prepare for what was coming. So when the Council voted to exile them, it was not a punishment, it was a gift. The only reason humanity smiled that day was because the Council unknowingly gave humans exactly what they wanted: freedom from galactic rules. Once exile was official, Earth activated the ocean core fully. It sank deeper into the Earth and connected with ancient structures hidden under continents. A giant pulse of energy spread across the planet, synchronizing human technology. Engines became more efficient. Shields became stronger. Hyperdrives doubled in speed. Entire human fleets upgraded silently overnight. The ocean machine opened pathways, routes leading out of the galaxy, shortcuts through dark space that no alien had ever detected. Humanity followed these paths without hesitation. On the way out, they built huge stations powered by void resonance, invisible to alien sensors. They constructed factories the size of moons, using ancient designs that allowed matter to bend and rebuild itself. They created rings in space that could form new stars. Every step they took was guided by ancient knowledge. Every move they made was watched by the machines beneath Earth's oceans. And the galaxy, unaware of all this, still believed humans were simply running away. But deep in the Beyond Council's secret logs, one message was recorded before humanity left the Milky Way. The Ancient Ones left these tools for a reason. They saw the future. They saw our arrival. They saw something approaching. We must be ready. Now, with humanity gone beyond the galaxy, their real work had begun. They were not fleeing. They were preparing. And the Milky Way, blind to the truth, had no idea that the species they exiled was now unlocking the power of a civilization older than time, becoming something the galaxy had never seen before, and something it would one day fear. Humanity traveled far beyond the edge of the Milky Way, into a region of space where no star shone and no map existed. This empty darkness was feared by every species in the galaxy, but to humans it felt like freedom. They had left behind old borders, old politics, and old limits. Now they were alone, guided only by the ancient knowledge from the machines under Earth's oceans. In this vast silent space, they began building something new, something the galaxy had never imagined. At first the human fleets moved carefully, sending drones to explore the void. These drones floated through darkness for weeks without finding anything, until one day they detected a faint energy field. It was weak, almost invisible, but its pattern matched the symbols inside the ancient ocean machine. Humans followed the signal and soon found a region where space itself felt different. Gravity pulled strangely, light bent in unusual ways, and time seemed slightly slower. Human scientists realized the ancient civilization had left this area on purpose. It was a safe place, hidden between galaxies, impossible for normal sensors to detect. Humanity named it the Silent Expanse. Here, they began building their new home. The first structure they created was a giant ring, larger than any planet. It glowed with blue lines and hummed with quiet power. This ring, called the Void Gate, became the center of human civilization. It could open stable paths through dark space and connect distant locations instantly. Around the Void Gate, humans built massive space stations shaped like star webs. Each station was designed to produce resources, create energy, and support millions of people. The stations grew into floating cities, bright islands of light in an ocean of darkness. Families moved into them. Scientists built new labs. Engineers constructed strange machines based on ancient patterns. Humanity finally had the space it needed to expand freely. With the help of void resonance, they created factories that could build ships faster than any alien empire. They developed new engines that allowed travel even outside the known universe. They created shields strong enough to block black hole-level forces. They formed a new fleet called the Lightborn Armada, made of ships so silent and sleek that they looked like shadows drifting through the void. Children grew up in the Silent Expanse learning not just human history but also ancient knowledge passed down from the ocean machine. They learned how to read energy flows, how to predict void storms, how to build structures using star matter. The human mind continued evolving faster than ever, reaching levels of understanding that no other species had touched. Meanwhile, humanity also built something even more surprising: a new star. At the center of the Silent Expanse, a massive machine activated and slowly compressed energy until a small bright sphere formed. This sphere grew hotter and brighter until it ignited into a young sun. Humans cheered. They had created their own light, their own warmth, their own future. Around the new star, they placed artificial planets, beautiful worlds with perfect climates, glowing oceans, and green forests. These worlds were not natural, but they felt like home. They were built with intention, shaped by knowledge older than the Milky Way itself. For the first time in history, humanity lived in a place where they were not limited by fear, borders, or persecution. But even in peace, they remained alert. Every lab, every station, every outpost kept scanning the darkness for the thing the ancient map had warned about. Something was moving out there, something big, something old. Humanity did not yet know if it was friend or enemy. So they kept building. They dug deeper into the forgotten technology. They unlocked more secrets. They learned how to manipulate gravity fields. They created weapons that could bend space, but only for defense. They trained pilots to travel between galaxies using void tunnels. They created advanced AI companions to help manage their expanding world. They built the Ark Library, holding every piece of human knowledge and every file from the ancient machines. Earth itself was not forgotten. Even from far away, humans maintained a direct link to their home world. Earth stayed quiet, but under the oceans the ancient machines continued working, supporting humanity from afar. Every human in the Silent Expanse felt a connection to Earth, as if a silent voice was guiding them. Meanwhile, news from the Milky Way trickled in through distant sensors. Aliens were frightened. Some believed humans were gone forever. Others believed humans were preparing for war. None of them knew the truth. Humanity was simply growing, building, learning, preparing, not for domination, but for survival. As humanity shaped new planets and forged new stars, they wondered what the galaxy would think if it could see what humans had become. They wondered if the Council would still have voted for Exile if they knew the power humanity had unlocked. But the Silent Expanse was far away, hidden behind layers of void that no alien could cross. Out here humanity stood alone, strong and united. They had found their place. They had built a new beginning. Yet deep inside their hearts, they knew the peace would not last forever. The ancient map's warning still echoed. Something was coming. Something strong enough to challenge even the power they now controlled. Humanity had built a new galaxy for themselves, but soon they would need to defend it. After the narrow escape from the collapsing frontier outpost, the fleet moved into the quiet border of the Nebula of Echoes, a region known for strange signals and distorted memories, and the mood inside every human ship grew heavy even before the first sensor alarm beeped, because everyone understood that this place held the last clues about the real enemy hiding behind the vote to exile Earth. Admiral Rian sat in the command chair with tired eyes but a sharp mind, studying the ghostly waves of color outside the windows as if they were trying to whisper secrets, and beside him stood Mara, who kept reading and rereading the encrypted message they had taken from the trader's terminal, a message that mentioned something called the Silent Assembly and a project named Rebirth Protocol, but no one yet knew what it meant. Meanwhile, Dr. Solon, the young scientist who had joined the fleet only weeks earlier, analyzed the strange energy fog outside the ships, explaining in a worried voice that the nebula did not behave like a normal cloud at all and that it reacted almost like a living mind, shaping itself around them, watching them, waiting for something, and the crew listened with growing fear because they all knew these were not normal days, and every new discovery made life more uncertain. As the fleet traveled deeper into the nebula, the ships began to pick up soft echoes, like faint recordings of voices that did not belong to anyone inside the fleet, and the engineers tried to explain it as interference or reflection, but the voices sounded too real, too personal, and too close, making some crew members panic while others fell silent as if ashamed of what they heard. Rian ordered everyone to keep calm and ignore the ghostly sounds, but even he felt uneasy when the nebula whispered his name in a tone that sounded like someone he had once trusted, someone who had betrayed him years ago. The deeper they moved, the thicker the energy mist became, until the sensors could barely read anything, and Dr. Solon finally discovered a faint pattern hidden inside the energy waves, a pattern that looked like a signal but acted like a door, and he realized the nebula might be a shield hiding something behind it. When the fleet followed the hidden pattern, the mist suddenly thinned out and revealed a massive shadow far ahead, larger than any known structure. A silent fortress floating in the heart of the nebula, shaped like a ring but cracked and broken in several places, as if it had survived some terrible battle long ago. The crew watched in awe as the fortress slowly rotated, sending out weak pulses that matched the pattern Solon had discovered, and Rian understood at once that this must be connected to the Silent Assembly, maybe even built by them, and he ordered a small team to approach the structure while the rest of the fleet stayed at a careful distance. Mara joined the landing team along with Solon and a group of trained explorers, and as their shuttle landed inside one of the cracked hangars, they felt a strange pressure around their ears, like the air was trying to speak but could not find words. The interior of the fortress was dim and silent, filled with old machines that hummed with low energy, and thin holographic shields flickered on and off like half-forgotten memories, giving the team the unsettling feeling that they were watching someone else's dreams. After exploring several empty corridors, they found a locked chamber sealed behind a smooth metallic door that opened the moment Solon approached it, as if the structure recognized him, and inside the chamber they found a circular platform covered in transparent panels displaying thousands of shifting symbols. When Mara touched one of the panels, the whole room came alive with light, projecting a hologram of a star map that showed Earth at the center with red lines crossing it like warning signs. And then a deep voice filled the chamber, emotionless and hollow, saying that Earth had crossed the threshold of the Rebirth Protocol and must be removed for the safety of the cycle. The team stood frozen as the hologram shifted to show strange organic structures growing around Earth's orbit, structures that resembled both machines and living tissue, and the voice continued to explain that Earth carried something ancient inside its core, something hidden for millions of years, something that had awakened. And the cycle demanded that any planet holding such a seed must be isolated or exiled. When the message ended, the lights faded and a second file opened automatically, this one labeled Truth for the Returned, and it showed the first clear evidence that the Silent Assembly had infiltrated not only the Galactic Senate but also several human research stations years before the vote, manipulating data and planting false reports about Earth's instability. Mara realized with horror that the vote to exile Earth had never been about danger caused by humans but about something buried deep inside the planet, something the galaxy feared but no one understood. When the team returned to the fleet with the data, Rian gathered every captain for an emergency council and explained that they now had proof that the vote was part of a much larger plan, a plan controlled by beings who hid in the shadows of the nebula and used entire governments like pieces on a game board. Some captains argued that they should return to warn the Senate, while others believed the Senate was already compromised, and the debate grew heated until Rian stood and announced that the fleet would not run, because if Earth was truly in danger, then they had no time to beg for permission or forgiveness. They would go to Earth themselves and uncover the truth before the Silent Assembly completed whatever the Rebirth Protocol was preparing. And the fleet erupted with a mix of fear and determination as the ships turned toward the distant star that had once been their home, racing against a secret threat older than their history. As the fleet began its long journey back toward Earth, every ship felt heavier than before, not because of distance but because of the truth they carried, and Admiral Rian spent hours staring at the star maps, quietly planning the safest path while knowing deep inside that no path was truly safe anymore, because the silent assembly had already moved too many pieces in secret. The mysterious message from the ancient fortress still echoed in everyone's mind, especially the warning about something sleeping inside Earth's core, something older than human history, and even though no one fully understood its meaning, they all knew they were running out of time. Mara walked the corridors of the flagship with a constant sense of urgency, checking reports from every officer, talking to captains through secure channels, and encouraging anyone whose fear showed too clearly. Because the nebula had shaken the crew's confidence, and some people whispered that returning to Earth might be a trap, but Mara refused to let doubt take over. Meanwhile, Dr. Solon locked himself in the research deck and studied every fragment of data taken from the fortress, mapping old symbols and running simulations, and after long hours he finally found something shocking. A slow but measurable energy pulse coming from Earth's direction, matching the ancient pattern of the rebirth protocol, and when he reported this to Rian, the entire command room fell silent, realizing that whatever was happening had already begun. The fleet increased speed, switching to emergency formation to reduce travel time, and as they moved closer to familiar space, they noticed the communication networks around Earth acting strangely, signals looping or freezing as if someone was controlling them, and Rian ordered the fleet to stay silent, avoiding any contact with the main channels in case the silent assembly was listening. When they approached the outer edge of the solar system, the fleet expected to see Earth's defense satellites responding, but instead they found several platforms offline, floating without power, and a few looked damaged as if struck by something that did not leave normal burn marks. A wave of worry spread through the fleet until one of the scout ships detected a faint coded beacon coming from a hidden station near the asteroid belt, and Rian sent Mara, Solon, and a small team to investigate. The station was dark and cold when they arrived, and its dock doors opened only after Mara manually hacked the control code, revealing an interior filled with broken screens and flickering lights, like the place had been abandoned in the middle of an emergency. While searching for survivors, Solon found a single working console showing fragments of messages recorded by the station's last commander, a woman named Captain Leora, who spoke weakly but clearly about strange ships appearing near Earth a few days before the blockade and how the Senate's own communication units had ordered everyone to retreat without explanation. Her message ended with a desperate warning that Earth was changing, and that no one should go near the planet until they understood what the silent assembly wanted. Before the team could analyze more, the station suddenly picked up a burst of encrypted signals coming from Earth's orbit, and despite the distortion, Mara recognized the pattern. They were human emergency codes, but mixed with unknown signals that sounded almost organic, and this discovery pushed the team to leave immediately. When they returned to the fleet, Rian gathered all captains and explained that Earth was no longer silent and that something, or someone, was trying to send messages from within the blockade, but the signals were twisted in ways that suggested the rebirth protocol had already affected the planet's environment. After heavy discussion, the fleet agreed to enter Earth's orbit despite the risks. And as they approached the planet, everyone held their breath because the Earth they saw was both familiar and deeply changed. The surface looked brighter in some regions, with strange glowing lines running across continents like veins of light, and the atmosphere shimmered with a faint golden haze, as if the planet was breathing energy. Orbiting around Earth were several unknown structures shaped like spirals and rings, neither fully natural nor fully mechanical, and their movements were slow and almost gentle. But every instinct in the crew screamed danger. Rian ordered all ships to maintain distance while sending small drones to scan the structures, and the first scans revealed that the spirals were growing, feeding on both sunlight and energy from within Earth, and Solon realized that these were the same organic mechanical forms shown in the ancient fortress, meaning the rebirth protocol was not just active, it was accelerating. While the fleet tried to understand the phenomenon, a sudden shock wave spread from Earth's surface and hit the entire system, causing every ship to shake violently and forcing the engineers to stabilize the engines. And after the wave passed, a powerful signal burst through every communication channel, a signal that carried a voice, not ancient or mechanical but human, clear and strong, repeating one phrase again and again: "Do not leave us." The fleet froze in disbelief, and Mara felt her heart race because the voice was undeniably from Earth. But when Solon decoded the signal, he discovered a second layer beneath the human voice, a deeper frequency that matched the pattern of the nebula and the fortress, and this meant the message was not only calling for help but also calling something else. Realizing the situation had reached a breaking point, Rian ordered the fleet to prepare for immediate descent toward Earth's upper atmosphere, ready to face whatever waited for them below. Because the truth they had chased across the galaxy was finally revealing itself, and the survival of their home now depended on what they would discover in the next hours. As the fleet began its slow descent toward Earth's upper atmosphere, every sensor, every camera, and every pilot focused on the strange golden haze that wrapped around the planet like a living shield, and Admiral Rian ordered all ships to reduce speed to avoid triggering whatever force was active below, because no one knew if the haze was defensive, reactive, or something far more dangerous. Mara stood at the front deck of the flagship, watching the glowing patterns that spread across Earth's clouds like giant symbols, each one shifting and pulsing as if following a heartbeat, and she felt a deep fear. Fear not of enemies, but of what their own world had become while they were gone. Dr. Solon monitored the readings closely and discovered something even more shocking. The energy coming from Earth matched the ancient patterns of the rebirth protocol, but the strength was far greater than expected, almost as if the planet had awakened fully before its time, and this meant something or someone had accelerated the process. When the fleet crossed through the haze, every ship trembled as unknown particles washed over their hulls, and the golden mist reacted to their engines like a curious creature observing newcomers. But instead of attacking, it simply parted around them and allowed entry, and many officers whispered that Earth recognized its own children returning home. As they moved closer to orbit, they saw the strange spiral structures more clearly. Each one was half metal, half organic matter, shaped like twisting roots growing into space, and at the center of each was a glowing core that pulsed in rhythm with the patterns on Earth's surface, creating a synchronized network that almost looked alive. Rian instructed the fleet to hold formation while drones flew ahead to scan the structures, but before the drones could begin, the spirals released sudden bursts of light that scanned the fleet in return. And even though no weapon was fired, the moment felt like standing under the gaze of something ancient and intelligent. Then, without warning, another message burst through the communication network, this time clearer than before, repeating the same words, "Do not leave us." But now the voice sounded layered, as if multiple voices were speaking at once, some familiar, some alien, and the fleet members felt a chill run through them. Solon decoded the deeper frequencies and discovered a troubling truth. The message was coming not from a single source but from millions of points across the planet, as if Earth itself, and everything living on it, was broadcasting the same plea for help. Mara demanded a direct connection to Earth's surface, but the haze blocked all standard channels, forcing the crew to use a resonance link based on ancient coding, and after tense minutes, they finally succeeded. The screen flickered to life, revealing a blurry but recognizable view of Earth's sky filled with swirling lights and shifting colors, like auroras. Controlled by an unseen hand, as the image sharpened, they saw vast networks of glowing lines spreading across the continents, connecting mountains, oceans, and cities, forming patterns that looked like veins carrying energy through a living body. Rian immediately formed an away team, including Mara, Solon, and the best scouts, and prepared a shuttle to descend to the surface despite the risks, because they needed answers before the galaxy acted again. As the shuttle passed through the haze, it felt like pushing through warm water, and the crew heard faint whispers in their minds, voices not threatening but calling softly, welcoming them, urging them forward. The shuttle soon reached the lower atmosphere, and the crew gasped as Earth came into view. Rivers glowed with soft blue light, forests shimmered with golden mist, and long-abandoned regions were now blooming with strange plants that looked both alien and familiar. Cities still stood, but many buildings were wrapped in vine-like structures of shimmering metal, as if the planet was repairing old wounds rather than destroying them. As they headed toward what used to be New Geneva City, the shuttle detected intense energy readings underground, and they landed carefully at the edge of the old research zone, now transformed into a valley of luminous crystals rising from the earth like towers of glass. Stepping out of the shuttle, Mara felt a vibration in the ground, like a distant heartbeat syncing with her own, and Solon quickly scanned the area, discovering that the entire planet's surface was functioning like a giant circuit, with energy flowing toward a central point deep beneath Earth's crust, exactly where the ancient ocean machines had first awakened decades ago. While exploring the glowing valley, the team found human footprints in the soft silver dust, proof that survivors were still here. And moments later they heard voices shouting from a nearby ridge. A group of humans emerged, wearing makeshift gear made from glowing plant fibers and metallic roots, and their leader stepped forward, a young woman with bright blue lines glowing faintly under her skin, not machine-like but natural, as if the planet's energy flowed through her. She introduced herself as Leora's daughter, Erin, and explained that after the Senate blockade, many people hiding on Earth had discovered the awakening of the rebirth protocol and chosen to live in harmony with it rather than fear it. She guided the team to an underground chamber where a massive glowing sphere floated in the air, pulsing gently like a giant heart, and Erin explained that this sphere was the core seed, the very center of the rebirth protocol, a construct older than human civilization but now intertwined with Earth's life. Solon realized the truth immediately. Earth was not just transforming, it was evolving, merging ancient power with its natural systems, becoming something stronger and wiser. Aaron then revealed something even more terrifying. The Silent Assembly knew about the Rebirth Protocol long before the vote for Exile, and they had feared Earth's awakening not because it was dangerous but because it would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. Before the team could react, the sphere brightened suddenly, sending a ripple of energy across the chamber, and a new voice echoed through the room, one that was not human, not machine, but something in between, saying, "The galaxy approaches. Prepare yourselves." And at that moment, Rian's voice came through the comms urgently, announcing that dozens of alien fleets had just appeared at the edge of the solar system. As alarms echoed through the fleet above Earth, Admiral Rian stood frozen for only 1 second before snapping back into command mode, ordering all ships into defensive formation and activating every shield, because dozens of alien fleets entering the solar system at once could only mean one thing. The galaxy had come, either to destroy Earth or to seize its awakening for themselves. In the underground chamber, Mara, Solon, and Aaron heard the urgent message through their comms, and the glowing core seed pulsed brighter as if reacting to the danger outside, filling the entire room with a warm golden light that felt like a heartbeat speeding up under stress. Mara immediately requested evacuation to the shuttle, but Aaron shook her head and explained that leaving now would be pointless because the alien fleets were not alone. They were carrying something inside their ships, something the Silent Assembly had prepared long ago. And whatever it was, it would activate the moment Earth's defenders engaged in battle. Solon scanned the core seed and discovered a strange ripple in its energy signature, like a warning signal being broadcast across the planet, and he realized that Earth itself knew the invasion was coming. Meanwhile, in orbit, the alien fleets, representing dozens of species from the Galactic Council, formed a wide circle around Earth, their giant ships armed with heavy weapons and drone swarms. And then a single command ship moved forward, broadcasting a message that spread through every frequency. Earth must surrender its core or be erased from existence. Rian muted the broadcast before it could demoralize the crew and instead opened a secure channel to the away team, demanding information. But before Mara could explain anything, the core seed emitted a sudden wave of energy that shook the entire underground chamber, and Aaron fell to her knees, gripping her head as if hearing a voice the others could not. After several seconds, she rose with wide, glowing eyes and said the core seed had spoken to her, revealing that the alien fleets were carrying ancient containment devices designed to trap and tear apart the Rebirth Protocol, devices built from stolen fragments of the same civilization that had created the fortress in deep space. The Silent Assembly had known about these devices for generations and had secretly prepared them in case Earth ever awakened. With this knowledge, Mara knew they had no time to waste. They had to return to the fleet and warn Rian. But the moment they ran toward the shuttle, the core seed expanded its glow again and revealed a hidden passage deeper underground, urging them silently to follow. After a moment of uncertainty, they obeyed, racing down the glowing tunnel until the walls opened into a massive cavern containing ancient machines woven into Earth's crust, machines far older than anything humanity had found before. Humming with power and shaped like spirals of crystal and metal, Solon approached the central console and realized these machines were dormant defense systems created by the same ancient builders who left the map under the oceans, and the core seed had brought them here to activate them. When Solon rested his hand on the console, the entire cavern lit up, and energy flowed through the walls like rivers of light, connecting to the surface and then rising toward the sky in a brilliant beam that pierced the clouds and shot into orbit. The alien fleets immediately reacted, activating their containment devices, which unfolded like metallic claws glowing with red energy, ready to strike Earth's surface, but the beam intercepted them, destabilizing their power and causing several devices to malfunction violently, exploding before they could be used. Admiral Rian saw the beam from the flagship's viewports and instantly understood. It was a planetary defense system, awakened after thousands of years. He ordered the fleet to move into protective formation around the beam, shielding Earth's new energy network from the alien attack. In the cavern below, the ancient machines trembled as more systems activated, but Solon warned that they were still incomplete. They needed one final key to reach full power, something the core seed had not yet provided. Mara asked Aaron what the seed had told her earlier, and Aaron's glowing eyes softened as she replied that Earth itself needed the presence of its people, united, connected not by fear but by intention, because the Rebirth Protocol was never meant to be a weapon. It was meant to elevate humanity so they could stand against the ancient threat that had once destroyed the first builders. Before they could discuss further, the entire chamber shook violently as several alien battleships opened fire, sending massive plasma strikes toward the planet, and although the beam deflected most of them, some blasts reached Earth's atmosphere, tearing through the haze and causing tremors across the ground. Rian's fleet counterattacked, disabling multiple alien ships but refusing to destroy them unless absolutely necessary. because he knew some of the species had been manipulated by the silent assembly and did not fully understand what they were doing. Mara contacted Rian and quickly explained everything, from the ancient machines to the core seed and the real threat behind the rebirth protocol. And Rian listened silently before responding with a single order: "Get back to the ship, the galaxy won't wait." The away team sprinted back to the shuttle, but the ground split open behind them as the rebirth energy surged upward, forming massive crystalline roots that spread across the valley like glowing branches, stabilizing the planet's structure and preparing for something bigger. As the shuttle ascended, Mara watched the roots spread across continents, connecting cities, oceans, and mountains into a single energy web, and she finally understood. The rebirth protocol wasn't transforming Earth into a weapon, it was giving Earth the ability to survive what was coming. When the shuttle docked with the flagship, Rian turned to face Mara and said the alien fleets were preparing for a full assault, gathering energy at their front lines, and if the ancient defense systems didn't activate soon, Earth would be overwhelmed. At that moment, every screen on the bridge flickered as a new energy surge rose from Earth, stronger than anything before. And Solon whispered the truth with trembling voice. "The core seed is waking the world." The fleet above Earth shivered under the weight of the awakening core seed, and Admiral Rian stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the glowing planet below as golden light spread from every continent like veins pumping energy through a living body, and the alien fleets hovering at the edge of the solar system hesitated for the first time, as if sensing the power they could not yet understand. Mara and Solon monitored the planet's surface, watching massive spirals of energy rise from forests, mountains, and oceans, converging toward the core seed central chamber, and they realized that Earth itself was coordinating the flow of life, energy, and consciousness into a single defensive network, something no weapon in the galaxy could ever penetrate. Erin, still glowing faintly from her connection with the core seed, explained that the planet was not only defending itself but also preparing humanity to join fully with the rebirth protocol, to become a part of its ancient power, and that every person, every living being on Earth, was contributing to the strength that would soon eclipse even the silent assembly's knowledge. Rian turned to the fleet and gave the order to move closer, forming a protective ring around Earth while maintaining strict readiness, because even now he knew the galaxy would not wait. They would attack before understanding what had changed. Suddenly, the alien fleets launched a coordinated strike. A wave of plasma beams and energy missiles aimed at, breaking through Earth's defense, and the planet responded as one, sending up massive arcs of energy that deflected attacks, disrupted targeting systems, and created invisible shields that bent light in space, making the alien sensors almost useless. The flagship shook as a particularly strong blast hit nearby, and crew members held on as consoles lit up with warnings, but Rian remained calm, knowing that Earth's response was already stronger than anything the galaxy had ever seen. In the underground chamber, Mara, Solon, and Erin watched the core seed pulse faster, sending ripples of energy through the massive crystalline roots spreading across the planet, and Erin understood that the planet was communicating with the fleet, guiding ships to the safest positions while marking the locations of alien threats, effectively giving humanity a coordinated advantage in a battle that was as much about intelligence as firepower. Meanwhile, scattered across Earth's orbit, drones, constructed from ancient designs, emerged, shaped like glowing serpents and wings, weaving between alien ships, disabling weapons with precise bursts of energy without harming crews, and the fleet realized that these drones were extensions of the core seed itself, an interface between Earth's surface and the defensive network. Solon's face was pale as he studied the energy flows, calculating that the rebirth protocol had now reached full activation. Every continent, every ocean, every forest, and every human had contributed, and Earth was no longer a single planet but a living fortress, capable of defending itself and striking at the fleets that dared approach. The alien commanders panicked, some attempting to retreat while others tried to consolidate their forces, but every movement was anticipated and countered by invisible waves of energy that rippled from Earth, bending space around incoming ships, redirecting attacks, and, in some cases, pulling vessels into containment fields that left them floating powerless, unable to fire or maneuver. On the flagship, Rian spoke to the crew, telling them that this was not war as they had known it, but a test, and that their role was to protect Earth while allowing it to fully awaken, because the planet itself now had the power to determine the fate of the galaxy. Mara communicated with the core seed through Erin, learning that the Silent Assembly's fleet had carried devices designed to isolate Earth from its own energy, but the activation of the rebirth protocol had made those devices unstable, causing some of them to implode and others to be absorbed into the energy network, turning enemy technology against them. As the battle continued, massive spirals of light formed in orbit, connecting satellites, stations, and ships into a network that amplified Earth's energy, creating corridors of power that stretched like bridges through space. And every alien ship caught inside these corridors found itself immobilized, drained or repelled, unable to continue attacks. Rian realized that Earth had transformed the battlefield itself, making space around the planet a living defense, and that humanity now had an unprecedented advantage, not through weapons, but through unity with their home. In the core seed chamber, Mara watched as energy patterns formed shapes resembling constellations. Maps of the galaxy projected in glowing lines above the roots and pillars, and Aaron explained that these projections were showing possible threats, giving humanity foresight, and teaching the planet and its people how to defend not just the solar system but the Milky Way if necessary. As the alien fleets faltered, some ships fled, others surrendered, and the silent assembly realized that their plan had failed. Earth had not only survived the exile but had evolved into something they could not control, something beyond their manipulation. And even their most advanced devices were powerless against a planet that had become alive, aware, and unified with its people. Rian gave the final command for all fleet ships to link into Earth's energy corridors, boosting shields, energy, and coordination, and the combined force created a luminous sphere of power surrounding the planet, reinforcing the core seed and expanding its influence into orbit, making Earth almost untouchable. Below, Mara, Solon, and Aaron watched as the last waves of alien attacks were absorbed or neutralized, and a profound silence fell over the battlefield for the first time in centuries. The core seed pulsed steadily, sending waves of reassurance, knowledge, and strength to everyone connected, and Aaron whispered to Mara that the planet had finally fully awakened, and humanity had reached a new stage, a stage where they could walk among the stars not as exiles, not as prey, but as guardians and builders of the galaxy. Rian looked at the calm planet beneath them, its golden glow spreading across continents, forests, and oceans, and finally allowed himself to speak quietly, "We are home." And in that moment, the fleet understood that the vote to exile Earth had not defeated humanity. It had prepared them, forged them, and awakened a power the galaxy would never forget. And as the first true light of the awakened planet reached deep into space, even the farthest alien worlds would soon feel that humanity had returned stronger, united, and untouchable.